As a member of Associated Real Property Brokers, you kind of get a 4-in-1. You're a member of our national organization. We have a state tier, a California Association of Real Estate Brokers, our local tier, and also you will be a member of our affiliate, our local affiliate Women's Council of Associated Real Property Brokers. All of the websites are here. Another benefit is you'll be able to share the knowledge and experience of real estate professionals in all of our quests for a profitable real estate business predicated upon democratic ideals. That's really important because not everybody is in this business for the right reasons. Another reason is an invitation to our signature monthly marketing meetings and also our professional development, educational seminars, and access to webinars from the state tier, the national tier, and local. And also, which is our newest addition, is our Black Real Estate Professional Directory. So if you are a member, please be sure to add your information to the directory. We are going to be re-rolling it and reintroducing it next month in a different format. But just again, a few things that come with the membership that you pay for. So now that pretty much sums it up. We are here to listen to Mr. Kofi Narety come, and I want to thank you so much. He is a celebrity and luxury real estate expert and founder of Society Real Estate and Development, a leading authority on luxury real estate. Kofi is the go-to broker for celebrities, prominent sports figures, and affluent clientele around the globe, and the leader of Society, a private real estate firm with billions of dollars in sales. He has over 18 years of experience representing elite buyers and sellers of distinguished properties. He regularly appears on the national television and in print media outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, the LA Times, Chicago Tribune, CBS, CNBC, NBC, Sports Bloomberg, Fox Business News, ESPN, CNN Money, and The Insider. And he was also featured as an agent on HGTV's Selling LA and has numerous other appearances on the $1 Million Listing. And he is going to be presenting this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And you have the floor.
Awesome. Awesome. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me okay, Monty?
I can hear you.
Awesome. All right. Well, first, I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure and a blessing, to be honest, to be able to share my experience and also to meet new people, to engage and see old friends. Marie Sturgill is, part of the reason that I'm here today. She was telling stories before we started of the beginning of my real estate career, and I had to send her some money via Venmo to stop telling those stories. So I was like, yeah, but no, it's great again to see familiar faces and to be on a journey with all of you as we really are unlocking our greatness and unlocking our potential. And through moments like this and through groups and organizations like this, it can really add to that journey and expedite that process. And I'm hoping that today, with what we'll be able to share and sharing a little bit of my own experience and sharing some practices about excelling as a luxury real estate broker, that this will further your journey, add to it in some capacity. Maybe some things you've heard before, maybe heard them in a different way, but sometimes it's good to even hear them again. I have some of my own personal life philosophies that I mix into every talk that I give, and I call those Kofiisms. So if you've heard me speak before, you've inevitably heard one or two of my Kofiisms, and one of them is to listen with selfish ears. Listen with selfish ears. And the reason I say listen with selfish ears is because we're just inundated with information. We are inundated with information, and if you've been in this industry or been in this business, you have inevitably been to real estate conferences, success conferences, motivational conferences. You've heard speakers, you've been to trainings, and sometimes it's just overwhelming the amount of information that is out there. And what I came to learn is that there's really something to learn from everyone. So even if you hear somebody speak for 3 hours, there might be 2 minutes of that 3 hours that could change your life, that could change your business. And you'll miss that 2 minutes if you're not listening with selfish ears. So listening with selfish ears is listening for the things that resonate with you, that resonate with your personality, that resonate with your business, that you can put into action in your life to move your business forward. Because everything that you hear, everything that you read, everything that you see is not for you. You know, I'm personally on an ongoing journey of growth and development and chasing my potential. And my mantra for February is less and say no more, because we often get distracted by all of the quote unquote opportunities out there and all of the, you know, the new classes, the new this, the new that. But sometimes we have enough information to really move forward and take leaps and bounds forward. And me, you know, I have to make sure that I do stay focused on that path of, you know, realizing my own potential, helping people around me realize their potential. As part of the reason that my mantra is even focus and finish. And that's what I've lived by for quite some years. I don't know if you guys can see my screen there, but I have a bracelet that says right there, focus and finish. It's a daily reminder to focus on the small steps that lead to your big goals. So I'll give you guys just a little bit of my own history, my own background, and then I'm going to grab the screen. I'm going to share some slides, and then we'll go through some of the tips that I put together in a presentation for today about getting into luxury real estate and excelling as a luxury real estate agent. So I've been, again, in real estate for 18 years. I grew up here in Southern California. Shout out to the Bay Area, because I spent a good number of my formative years there. I went to Cal, so played football, go Bears, went to Berkeley. I see Mr. Harris wooing there. There it is. I appreciate it. Go Bears. And so, yeah, I was there in Berkeley from 93 to 97 was the last season that I played there. 98 is when I graduated. I was telling Imani, I moved off campus and lived in North Oakland by the Children's Hospital on 59th MLK over there. So I had a lot of fun. Festivals at the lake, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad there's no one around to tell those stories, but it was good. And then I came back to LA after Cal, briefly went to the Raiders, and I'll talk about that a little bit later too, about the decision to try to go to the league. But I went to the Oakland Raiders when they were there in 98, and that was John Gruden's first year. Charles Woodson came in that year, and it was a fun time. I got hurt in that first season in a game against the Cowboys, came back to LA, then I did acting for about 10 years. So I had a lot of sports contacts, I had a lot of entertainment contacts. So ultimately, when I got into real estate, I knew I wanted to have a focus. And these are, you know, things that we talk about even when it comes to branding and being known for something. Because if your market, wherever you are, if you are in Northern California or Southern California, I'm guessing your market's like mine in that there are too many real estate agents. just to be candid, there are a lot of people who have their license who are just taking up space that should be consumed by you and I, who look at this as a career and who are investing our time and energy into being career professionals. And so, you know, we have to distinguish ourselves from those people who are just taking up space. And that means part of it is having a brand and even being known for something. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. And even as we start to build a luxury business or grow our existing luxury business, part of that is around having a brand. So when I first started, I lived in Inglewood. I had a townhome. I was the HOA president. And so I was like, I know townhomes, I know condos, I know dealing with HOAs. So I started focusing on condos and townhomes, and I wanted to really specialize in that. And so any specialization, you have to know the nuanced differences of servicing that community better than everyone else, right? So in condos, like I said, I knew what it was like to deal with the boards. I knew what it was like to deal with a lot of times first-time home owners, because their first step is often into a condo or a townhouse, and understanding what their needs were and how they were different. And as my business started to grow, I wanted to go up in price points and also the size and prices of the properties that I was dealing with. And there were still a lot of even luxury agents in the LA market. And I knew I had a unique understanding and a unique advantage in the sports and entertainment space. And I also knew a lot of people in that space, and I knew they were being taken advantage of or targeted for the wrong reasons. And I thought I could bring, a higher level of service, integrity, and trust to those people. And so I started to build my brand around that. I've worked for a lot of the major firms. I've engaged with a lot of the major firms, and have even done training for most of the major firms: Keller Williams, Remax, Coldwell Banker, all the above. I've done trainings for them as well, and so I understand the landscape. I've been a broker for 15 of the 18 years I've been in real estate, so I dealt with a lot of challenges in the business. I'm still active daily now. So, all of this is coming from real-time experience. And then fast forward to, as I mentioned, I've launched my own firm now, Society Real Estate and Development. Our core focus is still residential real estate, luxury residential, but we also do some development, some flipping, some multifamily investing, and some new development business as well. So we'll touch on that. I want to make sure that I leave some time and room and space for Q&A. If you guys have questions, you can also type them into the chat. We'll revisit the chat once I finish. And then please, if you have a question along the way, we won't really stop along the way, but type that question into the chat so we don't forget it, or write it down so you don't forget to ask it when we open it back up, right? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to do a screen share. Let's see here. All right. Give me a couple of nods for you guys on camera if you can see my screen okay. Excellent, excellent. All right, excelling as a luxury real estate agent. I have my Instagram handle. A lot of our connections these days are being done via social media. You also have my website there. I can share my email address in the chat once we're done. Just give me a reminder. I'll share that with you guys. I'd love to connect with all of you guys on social media or via email as well. And this is, again, a very unique time that we're in. We are seeing things slowly start to open up, but this has been a period of unique engagement across social media and via the internet, and using things like Zoom and FaceTime. And, it's a very great time to also connect with people that you weren't connecting with before, because everyone has been relegated to their computers. Everyone is on social media now. They're either using their LinkedIn or their Facebook to communicate. So these are great ways. Don't shy away from it. Great ways to communicate with people and get to know people better, and a great way for us to stay connected as well. Okay, 5 steps to excelling as a luxury agent. Number 1 is the decision. Number 2 is the brand. Number 3 is the plan. Number 4 is the service. And then number 5 is the future. I've used some of my own images from listings that I've had or sold, just because there's always stories in these properties as well, and we think sometimes that things happen overnight or happen right away, but these things take time. And even building the brand or transitioning into luxury, it can take time. So you have to give yourself that time to develop into it. And it's never too late either. It's never too late to make that transition. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. I think when we are, we've been in a certain industry for a certain amount of time, or doing it for a certain amount of years or a certain way, we get stuck in that way. But I think that's one thing the pandemic has taught us, that we can't get stuck in any one specific way. We have to be flexible and be willing to adjust, and that adjustment will allow us to grow. This property that you guys see on the screen is a condo that I sold at the W Residences in Hollywood. Just again, beautiful, beautiful place. I engaged with that building and the people selling that building probably 7 years ago. Okay, 7 years ago. Fast forward to 2 years ago, and one of those salespeople who had since left the building reached out and referred me to this client. And that was just again, staying in touch with people, because you never know when it's going to come back around. And so 2 years ago, they referred me to this client. I got the listing and I sold it and found the buyer myself, fortunately. So I double-ended it. It was 1.2 million we sold it for. And it was to an international client. That client, once the pandemic hit, went back to Europe, called me about 3 months into the pandemic and said, "We want to sell it. We're not coming back." And so I sold it again last year. So that one was, a great gift that kept on giving. But it took, 5 years for me to get into that building. I've since sold other units in that building, but you never know, again, when the seeds that you plant are going to sprout, right? So keep that in mind. All right, again, the decision. First, you have to make the decision on transitioning into luxury real estate. Even if it's not luxury real estate, if it's a certain segment of real estate, if it's real estate itself, you have to commit to the decision. You have to commit to the outcome. And as I mentioned, it's never too late. I mentioned that when I was at Cal, I went to the Raiders, but when I was growing up, my dad is from Ghana. And so in my household, I grew up playing soccer, and I didn't start playing American football till much later, but school was the priority. And so when I went to Cal, I'd been offered even academic scholarships and so forth. Fortunately, I got a football scholarship, so everything was taken care of. But my goal going in was not to go to the NFL. My goal going in was to play and play well. And it wasn't until my junior year that I decided I have a shot to go ahead and go for the pros. I'm good enough to give myself a chance. And so that moment, I started even doing more than I was already doing. I was already sort of a stay late, come early type person, but I was staying even later, doing extra drills, extra practice, getting there earlier, doing extra practice, extra catches. I played wide receiver. And sure enough, I caught the attention of a couple of NFL teams just from that transition from my junior to senior year. So again, it's never too late, right? There's a quote in the Bible that I apply to a lot of different things. I don't know if it's meant to be applied to so many things, but I like it, so I apply it to a lot of different things. And it's that God will restore the years that the locust has taken, right? And so no matter where you are, what stage you are in life, if you make a decision and commit to something, the timing for that is the appropriate timing for it. Right? So we can never say, I wish I could have, I should have, if I had done this 10 years ago. We can say that, but it doesn't do us any good. If you had done it 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had the experience that you have going in now. You wouldn't have had the wisdom that you have going in now. So the biggest part of it is the decision. And so then we ask why. Why are you deciding to go into luxury real estate? Is there a market for it? Are you the right person for it, right? And so some of you guys have already probably started in this space. You've already started working in the luxury real estate market, or you've had a luxury listing before. Some of you are probably preparing to go into that space and starting to get your branding and marketing together, which we're going to touch on a little bit as well. But why are you going into that segment? And then when will you be ready to actually dive in? I encourage newer agents to the industry or younger agents in the industry to make sure you're ready for the big leagues, as I describe it, right? You have to be ready for the big leagues. Yes, a lot of the information is similar, a lot of the contracts are the same, but the last thing you want is to get a big opportunity and blow it, right? You want to at least be ready for that opportunity. And so the win is based on when you are ready, right? And some of this comes with finding the right mentor or partnering with the right person, which we'll touch on a little bit as well. And then SWOT versus what I call ATSU. So after Cal, I came back, I did acting for a bunch of years, and then I got into real estate. And then while I was in real estate, I ended up going back to school and I did my MBA at Pepperdine. And, part of that was, I've always liked business. I like business strategy, but more importantly, my wife was doing her PhD at the time, and I was like, I can't be 2 degrees behind in my household. I'll just lose respect. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and get my MBA. So I did. And one of the things that, we talk about in business when you're launching a business or considering launching a business is called a SWOT analysis. And you don't hear it as much anymore. You hear more of what's called a product market fit. So if you have an interest in business, you can Google product market fit, and it's similar to, what a SWOT analysis is. But SWOT analysis is when you look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the market that you're going into and the business you're looking to launch, right? So if we're thinking about, okay, I want to transition now into luxury real estate, well, then you should do a SWOT analysis, right? You look at the strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities in the marketplace, and the threats. Now, after reviewing this and after reviewing a lot of companies and just coming to a better understanding, I feel like you have to reverse the letters to OTSW, or ATSU as I would describe it, right? Because you have to look at the opportunities first. If you're in a market that has no luxury homes, then how are you going to break into luxury, right? So it may be an adjacent neighborhood. It may be the next city over. You might have to move to an area. Whatever that might be. But the opportunity has to be there first. This applies to really any business in any industry. You think about some companies that have created a great app. They feel like, oh, this is a great app, or this is a great new widget, or what have you. But if there's no market for it, if there's nobody who needs it or wants it, then it's going to fail, right? So we look at the opportunities first. The threats are the other agents, who's in the marketplace. The threats are technology, Zillow, these online platforms that are coming to take over your listings and sell them back to other people, sell them back to other agents. So those are the threats we have to consider across the board. Then you look at your strengths and your weaknesses as you're looking to enter that market. What strengths do you have? What advantages do you have, right? I say, what can you say about yourself that other agents can't say, right? Those are some of your strengths. And then what weaknesses do you have? Are they weaknesses that you can mitigate by bringing on somebody else, by reading or studying something, right? By finding that mentor, by aligning yourself with the team? What are the weaknesses that you have to adjust for, right? So look at the opportunities, the threats, the strengths, and the weaknesses before making that final decision to transition into that segment of the marketplace. Now, once you've made the decision, now you have to build the brand. Build the brand. I used a picture of myself here because I want to communicate that you inevitably are the brand. You are the brand, especially in our industry. But what we're looking at is what can you extract from yourself into a brand that is scalable. Does that make sense? Right? So we look at the Elon Musks of the world, we look at the Jeff Bezoses of the world, or even better, like a Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was really the heart and soul of Apple, right? But he was able to extract his methods, the culture he created there, the ideology that he infused into the business to create something that was then scalable. So even when he was gone, the business continued with some of those same brand tenets that he had poured into the business, right? And so the first thing is another Kofiism. This is another Kofi quote. And it's, you are your adjectives, not your nouns. You are your adjectives, not your nouns. And what do I mean by that? Well, we all are nouns. We're all a man, a woman, a mom, a dad, a real estate agent. These are nouns. But what adjectives do you bring to your nouns? Are you hardworking? Do you have attention to detail? Are you empathetic? Like, what kind of person are you? Because those adjectives will apply to everything that you do in life, right? So however you are as a parent is going to spill over to how you are a little bit as an agent, and vice versa. Or if you change careers and go do something else, your adjectives go with you and move with you. So when you're starting to create the brand, you have to identify the adjectives that articulate your brand proposition and also would resonate with the clients that you're looking to service, right? So if you're looking to break into luxury, what are the adjectives that people are looking for that you possess, right? That you can harness. Your unique combination of adjectives are also what differentiates you from the other nouns, right? The other agents in your area. I'm sure if we did a quick poll, everyone could name 10 agents who work in their immediate area, 2 of them who focus on luxury. But how do you differentiate from them? By harnessing your adjectives, because nobody has the unique combination of adjectives that you possess. So if you can harness that and articulate it, then you're on your way to creating your brand and identifying your brand in a differentiating way from the competition. Next is a promise. Your brand is definitely a promise. Your brand is the promise of what the experience of working with you is going to be like, right? You may even want to write that down. Your brand is a promise of what the experience of working with you is going to be like, okay? So again, you want to communicate your brand in a way that creates expectations. We've heard that phrase, under promise, over deliver. You should always under promise and over deliver, right? I remember I did a class and this guy raised his hand and he said, I like to over promise and over deliver. And I had him explain what he meant. And I actually appreciated what he said. He said, I like to over promise because I want to give people an idea up front that I'm going to outperform other agents. And then I still over deliver beyond that. And I said, I love it. I love it. And so I've adopted that. You know, I don't tell people that's what I'm doing, but I articulate through our brand proposition and value proposition things that I know other agents are communicating. And then we look to, again, still go above and beyond that. Okay. The 3 C's, and you may want to write these down as it relates to your brand: clarity, consistency, and constancy. I'm going to add one more at the top of that, 4 C's. We'll add one more for today. For luxury branding, it should be clean. Okay, clean. And when you're looking at going into a space or going into an area of the market that you haven't been in or that you want to break into, especially when it comes to luxury, we should be looking at other luxury brands, not just other luxury agents, right? So look at Mercedes, look at Rolex, look at the Four Seasons, look at the Waldorf Astoria, look at Gucci, look at their branding. And their branding is clean. It's simple. It doesn't have, 10 different fonts. It doesn't have and then we move on to the clarity. It should be clear. Your messaging should be clear, very clear. People should understand who you are, what you are, and most brands have some sort of subtitle. Like I used to use dedicated, discreet, and driven. Like that was my subtitle to my brand. Was dedicated, we're dedicated, discreet, and driven, right? But what's your subtitle? What are you communicating with clarity to the consumer that creates those expectations, right? And
Oh, did we lose him?
and logos on your LinkedIn.
Froze a little bit.
Oh, did I freeze, you said?
Kofi.
Yes.
Yeah, you freeze. So can you back up just a little bit?
Okay. Am I still frozen?
No.
Okay. You can see me moving. You see my hands.
No.
Oh, you can.
I can hear you, but I can't see
But
you.
we can hear you though. We can hear you, but you
Okay.
froze for a little bit. Okay.
Let me do this. This happens almost every Zoom call at least once. I'm going to log off and log back in. It'll take me 40 seconds and we'll be fine.
Okay.
Even in this few minutes, there's already a lot of nuggets I know I'm going to take and apply to my business. So thank you all for being patient with us.
That's right.
Can you guys hear me still?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to, it's frozen where it won't even let me stop here. Hold on one second. Let me try one more time.
No worries. I said, there are many pros, but also cons to the virtual life. All right, and as we wait, use the chats. Just what are some things that stuck out to you all thus far about what Kofi was speaking about?
Well, this is Georgia. I've taught on SWOT before, and I like that, that he's reversed that to apply to luxury properties. And I agree, to search out your opportunities makes sense. When you're working in that area, and you would assume that you've already identified your strengths and what your weaknesses are and try to overcome those. But I like that he switched those acronyms around.
Absolutely.
Am I unfrozen?
So let's see.
Yes.
There you go.
All right. Let me do the screen share again. You guys can see me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for jumping in there. And then jump in again if I freeze again, if there's any problem. It's like having something on your face and nobody tells you. It's like, come on, somebody should have said something. All right. So we were talking about the 3 C's, and we talked about clean, we talked about clarity, we talked about consistency. And the consistency is, again, that your brand is consistent across all of your platforms. Your brand is consistent across all of your materials. So again, it should not be confusing. You want your brand to be at a place where if I see it enough times, I can recognize it in my peripheral vision. I recognize your logo, I recognize your colors, I recognize the essence of your brand, right? Your business cards, your brochures, all of those things should reflect that same brand consistency. And then the last C is constancy, constancy. And that just means you're putting your brand in front of your targeted consumers on a regular basis, okay? And so that, you know, depending on your market, you might have a geographic farm, so a neighborhood you're working, or a demographic farm, which is a, you know, a type of client, first-time home buyers, sports and entertainment clients, things of that nature, condos or high rises, what have you. But you want to make sure that you are staying in front of them. Now, with the luxury consumers, you don't want to bombard them with information, right? So I have my database broken up into segments. And so a lot of my sports and entertainment and business manager and wealth manager contacts are in a separate database, because I'm not sending them the same thing I'm sending all of my past clients or all of my friends and contacts in Sphere, okay? You know, my rule of thumb, and you guys can apply this as well for your luxury clientele or the affluent clients in your database, is never send them anything that they can Google. If they can Google it themselves, don't send it. And if they can Google it themselves and you need to send it, or you're sending a property, send it with your professional opinion included, with your interpretation included, with additional information included, because that's where the value is. The value is not in just forwarding a listing. The value is in forwarding the listing and saying, I spoke to the agent, they're looking to sell because they have to move by this date. There's an urgency. It was renovated last year. They updated the kitchens and baths. The one across the street sold for this much, so we might be able to get it in this range. Now I've added value to the property that I've sent over, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. One of the things you don't want to do is lose those luxury clients or high net worth contacts by bombarding them with information that's not useful to them, okay? Let me see, hopefully I don't freeze. If I can get my screen to move. Hold on. There we go. You guys see the next slide, the plan. Okay, the plan. This home theater, beautiful home theater, was in Matt Kemp's house. So I sold Matt Kemp's house year before last in northern San Diego County. And that's also, again, a 3-year story. You know, it was a 3-year story. It's actually more of a 5.5, almost 6-year story. So I sold a property in that neighborhood for LaDainian Tomlinson. And then fast forward 2 years later, I had Matt Kemp and his team reached out to me about selling his house there. And in the first go round, we weren't successful. We weren't able to get it done. We came really close, but there were some business managers who had other alternatives, motivations, who squashed the deal, unfortunately. And so it didn't go through. Fast forward 2 more years later, those business managers were fired. They reached back out and said, look, we got rid of those guys. They were giving us bad advice. Can you come back to help us sell it? I said 100%. And we sold it for $4 million. And so, you know, again, you never know how these stories are going to progress. And you never burn bridges, right? You stay in touch with people. You keep them, you know, in your database, you keep in touch, you reach out from time to time with value or with checking in with updates or access to information that may be useful. And then you have an opportunity to service the business if it comes back, right? All right, so the plan, your market, you have to identify the market that you're going to service, and you have to know it better than anyone else. That's the good thing about our business, is that we have access to information. It's readily available. The MLS is available to all of us. Driving through neighborhoods is easy. You can get to know the terrain, get to know the land, the lay of the land, get to know the other agents who are working in that area. If there are luxury agents, get to know them as well. Because as you start to do deals in that space, those personal relationships will go a long way. So now I can call a lot of the agents in my market and they know my name, they know my brand, they know the level of clientele that I service. And so it's easier for me to get a response than it is for some other agents, right? Because I've built that reputation and I've built that rapport with them. You know, when you're going to the open houses, you know how it is. A lot of these agents that open up, we don't have open houses now, but when we get back to open houses, they open the door and they just sit back and, you know, not really engage. Well, engage, you know, go say hello to the agent, introduce yourself. And just say, hey, I just wanted to say, you know, great listing. My name is Kofi, you know, I work in the area as well. Good to meet you, good to connect. And then when it comes back around to writing an offer on one of their listings, they will remember you. right? So know the market, identify the market. The market should also be a manageable market. So the size of the market or the size of the group that you're going after should be one that you can know well. So you might not take on 2 or 3 neighborhoods at once, 2 or 3 cities at once. You might take on one neighborhood in one city. So you know the average price per square foot. You know what has recently sold. You know the agents. You know what properties are coming up, right? So you know that market, and people know you for knowing that market, which is also a huge plus, right? Then there's the promoting. The promoting is really with the brand that you've created. So once you have your brand and your branding created, it doesn't do you any good unless you're promoting it, right? Unless you're getting it out there, unless you're creating awareness and visibility for your brand. So you have to promote. Social media is one of the most impactful ways right now, and even cost-effective ways to get your brand out and to engage with other people. And the way you do it is going to be different based on the social media platform. So you can even do, I do this all the time. I'll Google different topics. I'll Google social media, effective social media marketing strategies. I just read those things. I talk about, reading books every year and rereading books every year as part of my own personal philosophy. It's the same thing with our industry. We should be reading something about our industry on a regular basis. 2-3 days a week, you should be reading 20-30 minutes or so about our industry, about interest rates, about where the market's going, about marketing strategies for homes, about what people are looking for, right? Because it's changed. Even when you're marketing a property now what's important that wasn't important 2 years ago? A place to work from home, a place for distance learning, separation from the work from home and the distance learning, so the kids don't have to interrupt the parents and vice versa. Like, these are all things that are now part of the conversation that weren't before. Things that trend in home styles, in flooring, in finishes, in kitchens, in baths, in technology, in smart home technology, in wellness in home, the type of air that's circulating, the type of water that's being filtered. All of these things are things that you can read about and stay up to date on. So as you're talking about these things to your clients, especially the affluent clients, the luxury clients, they've been exposed to these things and will expect you to have a certain knowledge and understanding of them as well. And there's no reason not to, because you can read up on this information, right? So the prospecting piece is a little bit trickier when it comes to luxury, because again, a lot of these connections are connections that you may not have already. So you're trying to establish the connections, right? And what I said about building the brand is just as important, so that when you do get the opportunity to engage with someone, when they see the brand, when they Google you and they go to your website, your brand resonates with their lifestyle or the kind of client you're looking to service, right? So if you've created this luxury branding and now you're doing your outreach, that is good, because when people look you up, they'll see, okay, this person, seemingly, at least on the surface, has a great brand presence, seems to know what they're doing. The lead generation piece is the same thing. Right now, what we've been doing over the last, not so much over the last 3-4 months, but the prior 6 months before that, we did a lot of social media engagement, especially on LinkedIn, to build up even further our database of affluent connections. And that came through wealth managers, business managers, family offices, touching bases with them, letting them know a little bit about us, how we work, how we might be able to bring value to them and value to their clients. And usually, again, that's teased with information that they can't Google. It's teased with, if your clients are ever looking for off-market opportunities, 20% of our deals are off-market and come through our agent and neighborhood connections. If you ever want access to that information, please reach out. Because if they want access, they have to reach out. It's not something they can Google, right? If you have clients who are trying to assess their overall real estate portfolio and need to know the value of their home or of their income property, please reach out. We'll give a complimentary valuation of that property. And I've had people reach out for that. I had a guy reach out for that. And that's not something we charge them for. We run the numbers, we give them the information on it. And a year later, he reached out to me and said his client was buying something in Phoenix and was in escrow, and can I help out because they're having some issues? And I said, well, I'm not licensed there, but why don't you have them ask these?
Oh.
Can you help them? I said 100%. So I had an agent in New York who helped out. We knew the specific property, and I took a 50% referral on that one because all I needed the agent to do was write up the contract. And it was a $3.8 million house, right? And so after 4 years of on and off engagement for complimentary advice and service to the business manager, it paid off in the form of a referral. Not even direct business in my neighborhood, but a referral. But that was a great referral check to be able to get, right? So again, that lead generation is leading with
Okay. When he comes back.
Uh-oh, I sent him Kofi. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're going in and out again.
Yikes. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. If I freeze, but you can hear me, I'll just keep talking and then I'll figure out the video portion afterwards. But again, being of value and being a resource to people is again what will keep you on their radar too. Part of my weekly checklist, and I call it my focus and finish list, is to send somebody else something that is of value to them, whether it's from my industry or not.
Boy, having a tough time today.
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see.
Uh-oh. Alrighty. And it's such great information.
With you.
Yes.
Hold on, we'll try to see if we can.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're going in and out. Some moments we can hear you, then a few we can't.
Thanks. Hello.
I can hear you now.
He can't hear you.
Right.
Let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to hack one more time, see if I can log off and log out one more time. We've only got 2 more slides, so we'll get through it. I promise you that.
Thank you. Great.
Good information.
It's excellent information.
That.
We can blame it on Zoom.
Blame it on Zoom. Let's see here.
And if anyone has any questions, we can go ahead and just start putting them in the chat. Although you've been extremely thorough, so thank you. It's a good thing there are no questions, not yet, at least.
I do have a question. This is Linnell.
Yes. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Will the presentation be available? I see that the recording is on, but it's being recorded, right? So we can kind of take a recap. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're gonna post it to the YouTube channel.
So nice.
Available to share.
Awesome.
Will you have a chance to edit it so the interruptions will be addressed?
We're gonna do our best to make it work. And Kofi's back. Thank you.
I'm back. Okay, let me try this one more time.
All right.
Thanks again for your patience. But as you guys know, this is part of our industry is, adjusting to the challenges that are thrown our way. So, all right. So next up, the service. I have one bullet point on the service, and it's A++ or nothing, right? We talked about under-promising and over-delivering, or over-promising and over-delivering. The service has to be above and beyond if you're looking to break into and even sustain a luxury real estate career. These people are used to luxury levels of lifestyle and service across their lives. The restaurants they go to, the hotels they stay in, the service providers they have. They can afford the best, so they expect the best, right? And one of the easiest ways to do this is really look at all of the ways you engage with your clients, like literally write them down, like how you set your appointments, confirm your appointments, attend the appointment follow-up, how you get contracts signed, how you schedule your open houses, schedule your showings, all of these things, and look for ways to increase the experience or enhance the experience for your clients. How can you make it better? right? How can you make it easier for them to do? How can you be thoughtful in terms of their time? Maybe you send them a calendar invitation for the showings so they remember because it's on their calendar, right? How do you make the service a little bit better every single time? And so this has to be part of the equation. And then lastly, the future, right? So once you have the decision, you've made the decision, okay? You've committed to the decision because you have to commit to the decision. I had this quote that I really like. It says, self-image sets the boundaries of accomplishment. Self-image sets the boundaries of accomplishment. And that ties to the decision and the brand. So the way you think of yourself and the way you think of your business will ultimately dictate where it goes, right? And so you have to sometimes even get out of your own way, get rid of those limiting beliefs because we all have them. And some of them are based on some real experiences we've had, and some of them are based on made up things in our head, and some of them are based on our own insecurities. But inevitably, you have to get rid of the limiting beliefs, right? And my thing is, look, whatever challenges are out there, they'll show up. I don't have to create them. They will show up on their own. So why would I create additional challenges, mental roadblocks, insecurities that don't need to be there? Okay. And then the ones that do show up, deal with them. We deal with them, right? And that's part of our business. It's part of our growth. And it's a necessary part of our growth. Okay. If you think you're going to be successful without challenges, you're not looking for the right level of success, because the right level of success comes with challenges. But those challenges, we take them, we learn from them, and then we put them into our foundation that builds us up higher, right? We build and we grow on from that. Growing your team. Okay. Again, if you don't have a team or are not part of a team, when you start scaling, especially your luxury business, you need to have people around you that can help you maintain that A++ level of service, because you just can't do it all. And you can't do it all at that high level once you start growing more business. And that might be someone who is just an assistant, a showing agent. You have a transaction coordinator that you can rely on and trust to take some of the paperwork off your plate. You have to have that in place. And until you have a team, you are your own team, right? You can rely on certain things from your title reps or your lenders to help you with, or even being part of your quote unquote team. But when it comes to servicing the client, ultimately you're going to need to scale and grow your team. Expanding the offering, this is down the road, but this is kind of where I am now as well, is we want to bring more value to our clients, service more of their real estate portfolios. So not only can we help you buy and sell a home, but now you can invest with us. Like, we bought 2 houses as a company, and we had over 20 of our clients invest with us on property flips. And I wanted to give access to my contacts, access to my database, access to people that I know, and even more people that look like me to these investment opportunities, right? That we don't always have the exposure to. And so we did that. And we had, again, over 20 people invest in these 2 properties with us. And we're going to be doing more of that. And those people will become clients in the traditional real estate business, because now we've brought value to their lives. And then staying consistent. Staying consistent is just staying the course. It's not easy. It is not easy. It does take time. I've experienced a great amount of success myself. But to be honest, I'm probably about 40% of where I want to be. If you had asked me 2 years ago, I was about 30%. So I am making progress, but I still have more that I want to do. I still have more potential to realize. And I have to give myself grace. I have to be patient through that process. And again, the challenges, I just have to chew them up, spit them out, throw them into my foundation and build from there. And I advise you guys to do the same. Give yourself grace, give yourself a timeline. It's not going to change in a week. Your business isn't going to get to exactly where you want it to be. It might take a couple of years, but as long as you're making progress in the right direction, you're on the right track. And with that, again, focus and finish. Focus on those small steps that will lead to your big goals. I think we made it through 2 interruptions. I want to stop the screen share and I want to open it up for some Q&A.
All right, and we have 2 questions that are already in the chat for you. And one was just been asked to go back over the lead generation method because it was freezing up a little bit.
Got it. So I was saying with the lead generation, a lot of it is going to be cold outreach because, again, we may or may not have that built-in database of affluent connections, depending on where you went to school or grew up or what have you. So a lot of that is going to be reaching out to people via like social media or through ideally introductions from other people you know. So if you know somebody that knows a wealth manager, or you know somebody that knows a business manager or a financial advisor, try to ask for that introduction to that person from someone you know, because that warm introduction is always going to be better. If you're doing cold outreach and you're doing it, like I use LinkedIn because LinkedIn is the most professional for business outreach, lead with value, lead with, you know, an offering of your resources to be of value to that person. So I just wanted to reach out, you know, and notice that you work with family offices or you work as a wealth advisor. And if you ever have a need in real estate or need to know what a property's worth for your client's portfolio, or if you'd like access to off-market opportunities that your client may not have access to, we'd love to be a resource for you. We'd love to be an extension of your services. You know, so we say things like that to open up the conversations.
Perfect, thank you. And there's another one from Eric Harris, who's our first VP. It says, in luxury real estate, since the process can take longer, how do you stay profitable? Do you market in a wide of markets or do you diversify in real estate or other businesses?
Yeah, so I always say you have to continue with the singles and doubles. So the singles and doubles are the more modestly priced properties, right? It's hard to just jump into luxury and say, I'm just going to do luxury. You still want to take on business. Like our mantra too is that, you know, it's not about a price point. We just want to help people that are serious and ready. So if you're serious and ready, we'll help you with a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 condo. If you're serious and ready, because we're going to work hard for you and be ready to roll up our sleeves and help get it done. So those are the keep the lights on deals, right? So some of these deals, they take a long time to sell. They take a lot of investment money and a lot of investment dollars, right? And so you have to have other deals that are closing while those deals that will take longer or the higher price points have a chance to go through their whole evolutionary process, because some of them actually won't sell. And so you've invested this time, you've invested this money into it. And ideally, it not only has sold the property, but if it doesn't sell, it has helped your brand, right? So the investment into your luxury real estate is also an investment into your brand, right? So don't skimp out on things like photos or marketing materials, because those are timeless. They're timeless. When I first started my first luxury listing, I used those photos from that thing on my website and in my marketing materials for 10 years. And I kid you not, for 10 years, I used those photos because they were that good, right? And they're timeless. They're timeless.
Another question, how do you choose your lenders?
How do I choose my lenders? So it's twofold. There's certain adjectives that I look for, like responsiveness, you know, professionalism, experience, and then because about 30% of our clients are sports and entertainment clients or celebrity clients, we need creative lenders too, who can lend against portfolios, things that are abstract, like, you know, in the NFL, they work for 17 weeks and then they don't get a paycheck the rest of the year. Or in entertainment, they'll do a movie one year or a show one year and won't do a show the next year. And then the following year, they'll do a movie. Well, we need lenders that understand that. So we usually have a couple of lenders in our portfolio that we've used for a while. And if somebody else comes to the table and can demonstrate those things, we're happy to share their information as well. So I always try to give 2 or 3 options to our clients and then let them decide which one is ultimately the best fit. Real estate coaching. It says, what are your thoughts on real estate coaching? Do you recommend it? I do. I think real estate coaching is great. What I will say though, is you have to get the right coach. Okay. You have to have the right coach. And it would take too long to really kind of walk through what that means. But I'll give you a little easy tool to know. If you kind of don't like your coach, a little bit, you don't like your coach because of the way they push you, then that's probably the right coach. If you get along with your coach well, you get on the phone with them, you guys talk about everything and life and, you know, and you're not moving the needle in your business, if they're not taking you out of your comfort zone into the success zone, it's not the right coach for you. But I do believe that coaching can be very effective, especially if you have someone who will hold you accountable and push you further towards your potential.
Last call for questions.
Okay, I have a question, Kofi. Let's see, regarding your website. Okay, so now do you have a website that's totally separate from like the MLS integration, or is it integrated with the MLS?
It's not integrated with MLS. So we had that option to do an IDX feed, and we didn't do that because we felt like, just in our experience, most people are searching where they want to search. They're searching Zillow, they're searching Redfin, which is fine. We just want to make sure that, and then we tell them this, that wherever you find the property, tell us about it or send it to us, because we can always find out more or additional relevant information for you that's not available online, right? So our website is more of just a branded, landing page, so it reinforces the branding that we've created. So we had a couple more questions pop up. It says, as an organization, what can we do to amplify the importance of working with Black agents in the celebrity sports and high income clients? It's an ongoing battle. Let me just tell you. I think part of it, is just awareness. Even awareness is like awareness is one of the biggest challenges, that they even know that this type of organization exists, that they even know that there's someone who looks like them that's doing it at that level, right? And so it's even part of my own daily and weekly battle is to create increased awareness for it, and even trying to lean into these moments like this, where there is an increased desire and an increased push to work with people of color. And so I think this is a good moment for that. And maybe even if I'm trying to think of a way to do it, because what I've done before too is like home buyer seminars. Like, you can do something that actually brings people in, right, into the organization, because you're sharing valuable information. So you're not just tapping on someone's shoulder saying, hey, can I sell your house, or can I? No, you're saying, hey, you may want to listen in on this symposium we're doing on the importance of real estate ownership or home ownership as it pertains to wealth building or generational wealth, right? And you have to tailor those messages to the specific audiences, but it's a great way to get people in, into the fray. Like, I did an event even because I wanted to build my database of sports and entertainment contacts. I did an event called the Entertainers, Athletes, and Media Summit, and it had nothing to do with real estate. But I had 120 people in that room who were from the entertainment space, the athlete space, former athletes, business managers, and I made a ton of amazing contacts. And we talked about brand. We talked about what was going on with the sports landscape. We talked about, I had panel discussions and so forth. And they all knew what I did by the end of that day, because it wasn't like I was hiding it, but we didn't talk about real estate there, right? So even in talking about real estate, tailoring a message or maybe offering, some advice or guidance or an event to that audience, might help create some of the awareness. I see a couple of consistency. Do you see consistent opportunities to upsell luxury residential clients into investment properties? Yes. So what I've seen is a lot of people know, and they have this understanding that wealth is created through real estate. Like, they know that because so many wealthy people in our country have created their wealth through real estate, but they just don't have the access to, how do you get involved? What does it take to get involved? And so that was part of what we wanted to create here. And even for me, I've been in real estate 18 years, and I've wanted to do the investment piece for the last 7 or 8 years, but I hadn't done it. And I wasn't going to trust myself with other people's money until I had somebody experienced who had done it. And so I brought in, when I launched my own firm, I brought in someone who's done real estate investments, who's flipped properties, over 100 of them. And immediately we put together the model. And 4 months later, we were looking at properties. And 2 months after that, we had bought our first property as a firm by syndicating it. So we were bringing investors together with that opportunity to invest with us. In this case, it was a $50,000 minimum investment, but we're looking at 30+% returns on the end of the flip, right? So it's more of if that's something you're looking to do, one, make sure it's something you have experience in, or two, you bring in somebody who has that experience, because it is something where you don't want to mess up, you don't want to drop the ball, you don't want to take investors' money and lose it, okay? But it is a great tool, it is a great offering to help people expand their real estate portfolios. The most important characteristic you're looking for in your listing and sales team members. So it's a little different now. Like ideally, for me, I'm bringing on people who have experience because we don't have ongoing training. But I'm looking for also trust. Trust is huge for me because if I can trust you, we can figure out the other things, right? The hard work and effort, like showing up and being willing to work, because I feel like a lot of people now that I meet have expectations that success is supposed to land on their laps, or they're supposed to be given opportunities. I like when people are ready to work for those opportunities, right? With that level of hard work, resiliency, and then again, experience is a great thing to have. Professionalism is a great thing to have. We talked about social media, and one thing I tell people to always ask themselves is, would I hire my social media profile? Because people are looking at your social media. And if you wouldn't hire your own social media profile, other people won't hire you either. And so when I'm looking at agents, I look at their social media profile, and I'll give you a great example. I had a great agent who I had done 3 deals with, okay? I had never met her, okay? I was representing a building downtown. We were doing a lease up for that building. She brought 3 different clients over the course of 4 months. She was amazing to work with. Her level of professionalism was great. And then she reached out regarding potentially joining our firm. And so when I look at it that way, now I need to do some research on it. And I did some research, and her social media profile was just incredibly risque. It just didn't even make sense. It wasn't even in alignment with the person who I had done these amazing professional level deals with. And I was like, there's no way. There's just no way that this person can represent my firm with that kind of social media profile, unfortunately. And then the other part that sucks about it is I couldn't say that. Like, nope, I can't have you half naked out there representing society. Sorry. So it wasn't even something I could communicate to this person. But they, missed an opportunity because of social media. And I wish I could figure out a way to tell her, because it just doesn't reflect how good she is at what she does, and it will keep some people from working with her just because of that, and I even deal with that with some of the like married couples and sports and entertainment clients. They'll look up who it is and they'll say, no, I don't want her showing my husband properties. No, I've seen it happen. It's real, so I'm just shooting straight. Okay, let's see. We have a couple more. All right, I think that was it. So any final questions before we wrap up?
We got one more question. Who would like to?
Last one.
Question. I think that's it then. Oh wait, I think I see. Eric, did you have a question?
You know me, I always have a question. So,
okay.
So this is kind of a tough one, but well, maybe it's not. How do you deal with people who don't want to work with you because you're Black? And in your advertising, do you try to address that? Do you try to like, oh, I'm not going to have pictures, or I am going to have pictures. I want it to be a surprise when they meet me. I know you've thought about that, so I want to know.
Guess who's coming to dinner? So it's been an evolution, right? If I'm being honest. So if you saw my first websites, as I decided to break into luxury, I didn't have my photo on them. This is 2006, 2007. I was like, I just want people to judge the website for what's on the website and eliminate some of the judgment of me based on what I look like, based on my color, based on my age, based on any of that. And when they have a chance to engage with me, then they'll immediately hear the experience and professionalism, but I didn't want them to see. Fast forward to now, and I'm on all my websites, right? And there inevitably will be people who aren't calling me because of what I look like, right? But I don't know that, so I don't care, and so I'm going to push to go ahead and lead with experience, professionalism. Again, it's a real thing that we deal with, and business cards in general for luxury, I say don't put your photo on them. Postcards, brochures, yes, you should, because we are in a people business. But business cards, we should compare it to other high-level professionals like accountants, CPAs, doctors. None of them have their photos on their business card. So we shouldn't have our photos on our business card for luxury. If you want to have 2 different business cards, that's fine. But you shouldn't have your photo on the luxury version of your business card, right? But yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. I think that, again, there are all these little built-in judgments and even micro judgments, and the unfortunate truth that we can't get away with some things that other people can get away with. I was on a Zoom call where I was the only one that looked like us, right? And this guy was saying how, yeah, I just show up in my t-shirt and all that. I'm like, that's t-shirt privilege. I said, not everybody gets to just show up in a t-shirt, right? I bring a jacket. I'm going to be a step ahead of my clients, and I'm going to show up looking a certain way to eliminate some of the judgment that comes with, our territory. And it's the unfortunate truth, but it's real, right? And so I say, yes, it is something that is something to be mindful of, but not to let it be your own hurdle. Let it be the other person's hurdle, right? And just keep showing up. Just keep putting yourself out there, keep getting out there, keep showing up professionally. And as soon as you open your mouth, they're going to hear that you know what you're talking about. And so I think that's going to be the key.
Thank you so much. This has been a great presentation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Looking at the comments, everyone is really appreciating of your thoroughness. So great presentation. And let's please give him a virtual round of applause. And thank you so much for taking the time to come and present to us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate you guys having me. And I definitely appreciate the work you guys are doing. And Marie, thank you for reaching out, making this happen.
Yes.
And
Thank you for setting us up strong.
That's it. We'll all connect again soon. You guys have a good one.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty, everyone. So we have 15 minutes, and I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen. But in the meantime, if we can